करबधरसमानं प्रेक्ष्य दृष्ट्या प्रतीच्या शुभमतनुतकाव्यं स्वादुरामायणाख्यं मधुमयभणितीनां मार्गदर्शी महर्षिः. Valmiki Maharshi had visualized Ramakatha just like a badri fruit on his palm. तथैव अद्य अत्र विद्वांसः वाल्मीकि दर्शनम् आश्रित्य रामस्य सुदर्शनम् अत्र कारयन्तः सन्ति. तेषां सर्वेषां कृते पुनरपि अहं हार्दं स्वागतं व्याहरामि. एतस्मिन् सत्रे अध्यक्षपदं वहति श्रीमान् दत्ता बी नाइक महोदयः. दत्ता जी कृपया मंच पर आसन ग्रहण करें. तथैव प्रमुख वक्त्री अस्ति डॉक्टर वैष्णवी भगिनी. कृपया मंचं प्रति आगच्छतु इति निवेदनम्. अन्यतमः वक्ता अस्ति श्रीमान् शोभित कुमार महोदय, क्षम्यतां शुभम श्रीवात्सव महोदयः. कृपया मंचं प्रति आगच्छतु इति निवेदयामि. अद्यतनसत्रस्य अध्यक्षः श्रीमान् दत्ता नाइक महोदयः एकः शिक्षातज्ञः अस्ति, एजुकेशनिस्ट् अस्ति. तस्य फिलासफी, हिस्ट्री, हिंदू स्टडीज़ इति MA त्रयं कृतम् अस्ति. तेन MPhil, डिप्लोमा कोर्सेस्, सर्टिफिकेट कोर्सेस् इत्यादीनि अपि सन्ति. माध्यमिक, उच्चमाध्यमिक, पदवी महाविद्यालये, सेकेंडरी, हायर सेकेंडरी एंड डिग्री कॉलेज इत्यत्र तेन पाठनं कृतं. 25 वर्षाणि 25 इयर्स् SS डेम्पो कॉलेज मध्ये सः प्राध्यापकः आसीत्. जनशिक्षणसंस्थानस्य निदेशकः अपि आसीत्. बहुषु संघटनेषु, बह्वीषु संस्थासु सः दायित्वं वहति. अखिलभारतीय विद्यार्थी परिषत् इत्यस्य राष्ट्रीय उपाध्यक्षः, गोवा यूनिवर्सिटी एकेडमिक कौन्सिल् सदस्यः, एक्सिक्यूटिव कमिटी कौन्सिल् सदस्यः, सद्यः कल्याण आश्रमस्य मार्गदर्शकः, लोकतन्त्रसेनानी संघस्य राष्ट्रीय कार्यकारी सदस्यः इत्यादीनि दायित्वानि सः वहति. अस्माकं प्रबोधन एजुकेशन सोसाइटी इत्यस्य संस्थापकेषु एषः अपि अन्यतमः अस्ति. कविः अस्ति, विमर्शकः अस्ति, लेखकः अस्ति. दशाधिकपुस्तकानि, मोर देन् 10 बुक्स् आर् पेन्ड बाय हिम्. विमर्शात्मकलेखनानि अपि लिखितवान् अस्ति. पत्रिकायाः, विवेक इति पत्रिकायाः सम्पादकः अपि आसीत्. तस्य कृते अहं हार्दं स्वागतं व्याहरामि. अद्यतनकार्यक्रमे एतस्मिन् सत्रे वक्त्री अस्ति डॉक्टर S वैष्णवी महाभागा. राष्ट्रीयसंस्कृतविश्वविद्यालय, नेशनल संस्कृत यूनिवर्सिटी तिरुपति इत्यत्र असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर रूपेण एषा कार्यं करोति. शिक्षाशास्त्रं तत्र एषा पाठयति. संस्कृते MA, MPhil, MEd इत्यादि पदवीन् प्राप्तवती. PhD पदवीमपि प्राप्तवती. कॉन्ट्रिब्यूशन ऑफ संस्कृत भारती इन क्वालिटी इम्प्रूवमेंट ऑफ संस्कृत टीचिंग इति विषये सा PhD पदवीं प्राप्तवती अस्ति. साइकोलॉजी मध्ये MSc पदवीं प्राप्तवती अस्ति. सोशियोलॉजी मध्ये MA पदव्याः अध्ययनम् इदानीं कुर्वती अस्ति. बहूनि शोधपत्राणि प्रतिष्ठित जर्नल्स् मध्ये प्रकाशितानि सन्ति. बह्वीषु कार्यशालासु मार्गदर्शिकारूपेण कार्यं कृतवती. सम्मेलनेषु सहभागं कृतवती. संगोष्ठीषु शोधपत्राणि अपि प्रस्तुतवती. विश्वविद्यालयस्य प्रशासनिकप्रकल्पेषु, एड्मिनिस्ट्रेटिव् असैन्मेण्ट् मध्येपि तस्याः महद् योगदानं वर्तते. तस्यै अपि अहं हार्दं स्वागतं व्याहरामि. अन्यः वक्ता अस्ति अत्र आचार्यः कुमार शुभम श्रीवात्सव महोदयः. एषः सम्पूर्णानन्द विश्वविद्यालये आचार्यः अस्ति. MA प्राप्तवान् अस्ति. MA पदवीं प्राप्तवान् अस्ति. एस्ट्रोफिजिक्स मध्ये सः पदवीं प्राप्तवान् अस्ति. तथैव हिंदी मध्ये अपि पदवी प्राप्ता अस्ति. तस्य गणितज्योतिष्ये तथा षड्वेदाङ्गेषु तस्य महत्त्वपूर्णं योगदानम् अस्ति, तत्र कार्यरतः अपि अस्ति। नवदेहली आकाशवाणी मध्ये अनुवादकरूपेण एषः कार्यं कृतवान् अस्ति। गुप्ताशुद्धप्रदर्शनं, कात्यायनशिल्पसूत्र, धम्मपद, साहित्यदर्पण इत्यादिषु विषयेषु पुस्तकानि अपि सः लिखितवान् अस्ति। तस्मै अपि अस्माकं कार्यक्रमस्य परतया हार्दं स्वागतं व्याहरामि। अहं श्रीमन्तं संजय वाल्वावलकर् महोदयं प्रार्थयामि कृपया मञ्चम् आगत्य तेषां सम्माननं कुर्वन्तु इति। अन्ते अस्माकं सत्रस्य अध्यक्षः अस्मदीयः एव श्रीमान् दत्ता नाइक महोदयः, तस्मै अपि गौरवार्पणम्। शुभम कुमार महोदय, कृपया भवतः विषयप्रतिपादनं करो।
सभी को सादर नमस्ते। जितने भी मंचस्थ लोग हैं और जितने भी सभा में विद्यमान लोग हैं, जो भी विदुषियाँ, जो विद्वान और जो विद्यार्थी समुदाय के जो लोग हैं, मैं सभी का हार्दिक स्वागत करता हूँ इसमें। मेरी आवाज़ आप सभी तक पहुँच पा रही है? मैं इसलिए पूछ रहा हूँ क्योंकि मेरा गला सही नहीं है, ज्वर से पीड़ित होने के कारण, इसलिए मैं पूछ रहा हूँ। काशी की ओर से आप सभी का हार्दिक स्वागत है, वाराणसी की ओर से। आज का मेरा जो विषय है, रामायणस्य काल निर्धारणमिति। रामायण का काल निर्धारण। तो रामायण का कहें, महर्षि वाल्मीकि का कहें, अथवा भगवान श्री राम का कहें, एक ही बात है। तो मैं अपने विषय को आरंभ करते हुए सर्वप्रथम काल निर्धारण के संबंध में कुछ बातों को रखना चाहूँगा जो बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। इस विषय को आगे हम समझें उससे पहले एक पद्धति को समझना बड़ा आवश्यक है। वो पद्धति क्या है? वो पद्धति है कि भारतीय ज्ञान पद्धति और पाश्चात्य ज्ञान पद्धति, क्योंकि काल गणना का विषय दोनों से ही संबंधित है। इसलिए मैं पहले ही इस बात को रख देना चाहता हूं कि भारतीय काल गणना की जो पद्धति है, अथवा किसी भी विषय में जानकारी उपलब्धि हासिल करने की जो पद्धति है, वो बड़ी अनूठी है। और जो पाश्चात्य पद्धति है, अनूठी वो भी है, लेकिन भिन्न प्रकार से। दोनों में बुनियादी अंतर है। दोनों में आप एक पल के लिए मेरे साथ विचार करके देखें। आप एक पल के लिए मेरे साथ विचार करके देखें या कल्पना करके देखें। एक घना जंगल है, बारिश हो रही है, अंधकार है, बिल्कुल घना अंधकार, दाएं हाथ को बाएं हाथ तक का ना पता लगे, इतना घना अंधकार। और ऐसे अंधकार में कोई एक व्यक्ति अपने हाथ में एक टार्च लेकर के और वो ढूंढने निकलता है कि ज़रा देखें कि इस जंगल में क्या क्या है, ज़रा देखें कि मैं जहाँ हूँ यहाँ और क्या क्या वस्तुएं हैं, क्या मेरी तरह कोई और भी है। और फिर वो क्या करता है, वो अपने टार्च को जलाता है और ये देखने का प्रयास करता है कि यहाँ पर और कौन कौन सी वस्तुएं उपलब्ध हैं। उसके टार्च की रोशनी जिस वस्तु पर पड़ती है वो आनंदित हो उठता है, वो प्रफुल्लित हो उठता है। वो कहता है कि हाँ, ये है, इस वस्तु के विषय में मैंने जाना। और वो उसके संदर्भ में सभी को बताता है कि मैंने ये देखा, मैंने ऐसा पाया, वो वस्तु ऐसी थी, वो वस्तु ऐसी थी। फिर क्या होता है, उस आनंद से, उस उत्साह से आपूरित होने के बाद वो अपना अगला कदम आगे बढ़ाता है और फिर उसके टॉर्च की जो रोशनी है वो किसी अग्रिम वस्तु पर जाकर पड़ती है और फिर कहता है कि नहीं नहीं, पीछे जो मैंने वस्तु देखी थी केवल वही वस्तु है, ऐसी बात नहीं, कोई और भी वस्तु है और ये थोड़ी भिन्न प्रकार की है। और फिर से अपना एक सिद्धांत वो देता है और फिर से यूं ही वो एक एक कदम आगे बढ़ता हुआ प्रतिक्षण या प्रतिपल हर समय अपने सिद्धांतों में एक क्रमिक विकास देता जाता है। वो ये जो है ये पाश्चात्य ज्ञान की पद्धति है। भारतीय ज्ञान की पद्धति किस प्रकार की है? भारतीय ज्ञान की पद्धति है कि जैसे आप उसी बियाबान जंगल में, उसी घने अंधकार में आप खड़े हैं, कुछ भी सोचता ना हो और अचानक से बिजली कौन जाती हो और सारा जंगल, सारी वस्तु परिस्थिति आपको एक साथ ही सब दिखलाई पड़ जाती हो और फिर कोई अब आकर के आपको कहे कि ये एक वस्तु ऐसी है, ये दूसरी वस्तु ऐसी, ये तीसरी वस्तु ऐसी, ये चौथी वस्तु इस प्रकार से। अब आप जो एक बार बिजली की रोशनी में संपूर्ण जंगल को, संपूर्ण वातावरण को देख चुका है कि यहाँ वृक्ष हैं, यहाँ तालाब, यहाँ पेड़ पौधे, यहाँ पर पर्वत, यहाँ झरना, यहाँ ये जीव, यहाँ मनुष्य, वो एक एक कदम पर जो दिखलाई पड़ता है अब उस पर वो विश्वास न कर पाएगा, उसे वो बहुत लघु कोटि का मालूम पड़ता है उसके बाद। तो ये जो पद्धति है ये भारतीय ज्ञान की पद्धति है। ये भारतीय ज्ञान में हम सभी विषयों को एक साथ में देख पाते हैं, पर पाश्चात्य ज्ञान की पद्धति में एक क्रमिक रूप में हम देखते हैं। 18वीं शताब्दी के आसपास में, उसके आरंभ में हम क्या देखते हैं कि विज्ञान का क्या मानना है, विज्ञान उस समय क्या कहता है। वो बिल्कुल अभी शिशु की अवस्था में है पाश्चात्य जगत का, 17वीं और 18वीं शताब्दी में। और उस समय विज्ञान में कोई एक अवधारणा नहीं है कि सृष्टि में मानवों की जो उत्पत्ति है ये कब से आरंभ होती है। कुछ एक सिद्धांत हमें दिखलाई पड़ते हैं 17वीं शताब्दी में जो कि 6000 से 7000 वर्ष पूर्व ईसाई मत के सर्वाधिक मुख्य सिद्धांतों में लोगों का मानना ऐसा ही था। धीरे धीरे और आगे बढ़ते गए और फिर कहा कि नहीं नहीं, कुछ जीवाश्म मिले, कुछ भिन्न भिन्न प्रकार के अनुसंधान हुए और उसके बाद उनका सिद्धांत आगे बढ़ा और उन लोगों ने क्या कहा, उन लोगों ने कहा कि नहीं, इसे कुछ लाख वर्ष पूर्व हम मान सकते हैं और वर्तमान समय में लगभग 3 लाख वर्ष पूर्व मानते हैं कि तब मानवों की उत्पत्ति हुई इस प्रकार से। कारण यही है कि जब कभी भी वाल्मीकि रामायण हो अथवा महाभारत हो अथवा वेद हो, जितने भी हमारे आर्ष वाङ्मय हैं, उनके काल निर्धारण पर जब भी बात होती है तो ये बात गले नहीं उतर पाती है कि कोई सभ्यता, कोई संस्कृति इतनी भी पुरातन हो सकती है। हम कैसे मान लें? कोई सभ्यता इतने पुरातन नहीं हो सकती। अब आते हैं वाल्मीकि रामायण को लेकर के आपाततः यदि हम देखें तो 2 सिद्धांत हमें इसमें दिखलाई पड़ते हैं, 2 मत हमें दिखलाई पड़ते हैं, ऐसा हम कह सकते हैं। जो प्रथम है वो है पारंपरिक मत और एक जो द्वितीय है वो है आधुनिक मत। पारंपरिक में भी 2 प्रकार के हैं, एक जो विद्वत समाज में माना जाता है वो, और एक जो जन सामान्य में प्रचलित जो मत है एक वो। जो विद्वत समाज में माना जाता है वो थोड़ा भिन्न है। उसके संदर्भ में मैं कहूँ तो आप यूँ समझिए, विद्वत समाज से भी मेरा अभिप्राय है कि जो हमारे शंकराचार्य हैं और इनकी जो परंपरा आ रही है चलती हुई ये पुरातन, इनके यहाँ सभी मठों में, जितने भी शंकर मठ हैं सभी में एक ही अवधारणा दिखलाई पड़ती है वाल्मीकि रामायण के काल को लेकर के, कि वो कहते हैं कि लगभग 2.25 करोड़ वर्ष पूर्व, ऐसा कहते हैं। अभी कहते ही चाहे पाश्चात्य जगत के विद्वान हो अथवा जो आधुनिक विद्वान हैं जो हैं तो भारतीय ही, लेकिन फिर भी पाश्चात्य मत पे ज़्यादा आश्रित हैं, उनके गले ये बात नहीं उतरती। उन्हें लगता है कि नहीं, शंकराचार्य लोग ये केवल इस दृष्टि से बोल जाते हैं ताकि अपनी प्राचीनता, अपनी पुरातनता इसे वो सिद्ध कर सके, केवल इसलिए। और वे क्या कहते हैं वहाँ शंकराचार्य कहते हैं कि यदि आप संस्कृत के जितने भी वाङ्मय हैं अब तक के उपलब्ध, उन सभी के आधार पे एक शोध करके देखें तो आप ये पाते हैं कि लगभग 1,81,49,70 वर्ष पूर्व, वर्तमान में देखें तो 126 वर्ष पूर्व, ऐसा। तो इतने वर्ष पूर्व वाल्मीकि रामायण लिखा गया अथवा भगवान श्री राम हुए, ऐसा। इसके पीछे हेतु अनेक सारे हैं, बहुत सारे हेतु हैं। इसके लिए वो कहते हैं, अनेक सारे पुराणों से भी हेतु उपस्थापित करते हैं। जैसे एक हेतु देता हूँ मैं, एक उदाहरण देता हूँ। वायु पुराण के अध्याय 70 और उसका 48वां श्लोक, उसमें यदि हम पढ़ते हैं तो उसमें स्पष्ट तौर पे लिखा हुआ आता है। क्या लिखा हुआ आता है कि त्रेता युगे, यानी कि त्रेता युग में, और किस में? इस महायुग में नहीं, अपितु इससे काफी पूर्व। किसमें? तो कहते हैं कि त्रेता युगे चतुर्विंशे, यानी वैवस्वत मनवंतर के 24वें त्रेता युग में। कहते हैं कि रावण तपसा क्षयात, रावण अपने आचरण से पतित हो जाने के कारण से, रामम दाशरथिम प्राप्य, दशरथ पुत्र राम से युद्ध करके, और कहते हैं कि सगण क्षयम ईयवान, और अपने सभी बंधु बांधवों सहित वो दिवंगत हुए रावण। अब इसमें यदि हम देखें तो क्या दिखलाई पड़ता है कि वैवस्वत मनवंतर के 24वें त्रेता युग में, वर्तमान में कौन सा चल रहा है? 28वां चल रहा है। एक महायुग की जो अवधि होती है अपनी भारतीय कालगणना के अनुसार, वो 43,20,000 वर्षों की अवधि होती है एक, आप सभी ही जानते हैं। एक महायुग की अवधि इतनी है। तो अब जरा हम गणना करके देखते हैं कि एक महायुग की अवधि 43,20,000 वर्ष, गुणा करते हैं 4 से। क्यों? क्योंकि वर्तमान में 28वीं है ये चतुर्युगी या ये महायुग 28वां, और वायु पुराण में अथवा श्रीमद् भागवत में भी अन्यत्र अनेक सारे इसके उदाहरण हैं। वहाँ पर क्या आता है कि 24वें में, जो मैंने अभी उदाहरण दिया उसमें भी ऐसा ही है, त्रेता युगे चतुर्विंशे, 24वें में, तो यानी कि 4 महायुगों का है। तो गुणा 4 करते हैं तो कितना निकल करके आता है? यह आता है लगभग 1,72,80,000 के आसपास में, ये आता है निकल करके। और इस आधार पर यदि आप पूरे उसमें इस कलयुग की जो अवधि है 5,126 वर्ष, इसे भी यदि उसमें योजित कर देते हैं, जोड़ देते हैं, तो काल वही जो मैंने पूर्व में कहा कि 1,81,49,126 वर्ष के आसपास की अवधि निकल करके आती है। ये तो बात रही हमारा जो पारंपरिक मत है उससे संबंधित। अब आते हैं, इसमें भी एक सामान्य जन में जो प्रचलित मत है वो थोड़ा भिन्न है। सामान्य जन में जो प्रचलित है वो क्या है? एक इतिहासकार हुए अथवा संस्कृत के ही एक विद्वान हुए, आचार्य वरदराज। ये वरदराज लघु सिद्धांत वाले नहीं, ये दूसरे हैं आधुनिक काल के। इन्होंने एक पुस्तक लिखी है संस्कृत साहित्य का इतिहास। उसके पेज नंबर 66 पे लिखते हैं, और शायद भूलवश ऐसा उन्होंने लिखा, ऐसा प्रतीत होता है। उन्होंने 4 महायुगों का जो अंतराल था इसको उन्होंने ध्यान नहीं दिया, और उन्होंने क्या लिखा कि इसी महायुग में, अभी अभी जो त्रेता युग भी था द्वापर से पहले, इससे ही उन्होंने काल गणना की। तो हुआ क्या? द्वापर के 8,64,000 वर्ष, क्योंकि द्वापर इस युग की जो संपूर्ण अवधि होती है वो इतनी होती है 8,64,000 वर्ष, और वर्तमान में 5,126 वर्ष। इन दोनों के यदि हम जोड़ देते हैं तो ये अवधि हमारी कितनी हो जाती है? ये अवधि लगभग 9.25 लाख वर्ष के आसपास। और इसीलिए उन्होंने जो उसमें लिखा वो 9.25 लाख वर्ष के आसपास की अवधि उन्होंने दे दी। और इसलिए 2 प्रकार की अवधारणाएं प्रचलित हो गई, एक पारंपरिक मत को लेकर के भिन्न और एक इस मत को लेकर के भिन्न। अब आते हैं, एक बात और है इसमें वो क्या है? वो ये है कि वर्तमान समय में कुछ लोगों ने खगोलीय गणनाओं के आधार पे ये प्रयास किया है जानने का। एक सॉफ्टवेयर है जो कि यूरोपीय देशों ने उसे विकसित किया है, जिसे कि हम प्लेनेटेरियम के नाम से जानते हैं, और एक और है सॉफ्टवेयर जिसे कि स्टेलेरियम के नाम से जानते हैं। इन दोनों सॉफ्टवेयर्स में वाल्मीकि रामायण में राम के जन्म को लेकर के, अथवा भगवान श्री राम जिस समय वनवास को जाते हैं, जिस समय वे वनवास को जाते हैं अथवा जब वहाँ से वापस लौटते हैं, तो इन सभी में महर्षि वाल्मीकि ने वहाँ पे कुछ कुछ काल गणनाओं को लिखा है, कुछ खगोलीय परिस्थितियों को उन्होंने दर्शाया है। और उस परिस्थिति को यदि हम देखें तो हम उसमें ये पाते हैं कि वर्तमान समय से लगभग 7,000 वर्ष पूर्व ये घटना घटी है। ये आजकल के इस सॉफ्टवेयर के आधार पर लगभग 7,000 वर्ष पूर्व ये घटना घटी है। लेकिन इसके लिए इन लोगों ने युग की पूरी जो अवधारणा है ये इन लोगों ने परिवर्तित कर दी है। मैं केवल 1 से 2 मिनट लेना चाहूँगा और ठीक है। इन लोगों ने पूरी एक अवधारणा परिवर्तित कर दी है। अब आधुनिक जितने भी खगोलविद हैं जो कि पाश्चात्य गणना के आधार पे कर रहे हैं, ये हमारा जो पारंपरिक खगोलीय गणना का जो ये आधार है इसको नहीं मानते। युगों की परिकल्पना इन लोगों ने बदल करके क्या कर दी है, ये कहते हैं कि नहीं, 1000 वर्षों का कलयुग, 2000 वर्षों का द्वापर, 3000 वर्षों का त्रेता और 4000 वर्षों का सतयुग। इस अवधारणा को, इसके पीछे क्या आधार है, उन लोगों ने कहीं पर भी कुछ नहीं लिखा। तो इसके लिए उन्हें शास्त्रार्थ के लिए खुली चुनौती दी जा सकती है कि हाँ, और मैं सभा के माध्यम से कहना चाहता हूँ कि आप लोग भी इस चीज़ को देखें, जानें, समझने का प्रयास करें कि क्या पूरी की पूरी परंपरा गलत है। और एक आखिरी बात, और मैं अपनी वाणी को विराम दूं, ऐहोल का शिलालेख उपलब्ध होता है जो कि चालुक्य वंशीय राजाओं का है। वहां पर क्या लिखते हैं वे? लिखते हैं 2 शिलालेख है, एक जो कि दक्षिण भारत में ही कर्नाटक राज्य में मेगुती मंदिर करके है, वहां पर उपलब्ध होता है। वहां पर उस अभिलेख में लिखा जा रहा है कि 3735 वर्ष इस कलयुग के बीच जाने के बाद तब इस चालुक्य राजा के द्वारा इस अभिलेख का निर्माण कराया जा रहा है। वैसे ही आर्यभट्ट भी क्या लिखते हैं कि ईसा के कलयुग के 3600 वर्षों के बीच जाने के बाद अब मेरा जन्म हुआ है और इस समय मैं 23 वर्ष का हूँ। आर्यभट्ट में लिखते हैं वे। तो क्या काल गणना की जो हमारी पारंपरिक जो अवधारणा है, क्या ये गलत है? ये विचारणीय है। और इसलिए मैं ये कहता हूँ कि हम सभी को ये चाहिए कि जो हमारा पारंपरिक मत है उसके ऊपर हम ध्यान दें। वो बहुत आवश्यक है, उसको समझना बहुत आवश्यक है। उसे नहीं समझेंगे तो आज जो आने वाला है वो कोई कुछ और कहता है, कल कोई कुछ और, परसों कोई कुछ और, सब अपना अपना मत रखते जाएंगे। यही मैं अपनी वाणी को विराम देता हूँ। आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, आप लोगों ने इतनी देर तक मुझे सुना। नमस्ते।
धन्यवाद महोदय। इदानीं डॉक्टर वैष्णवी भगिनीमहं निवेदयामि, कृपया विषयमण्डनं करोतु इति।
नमोस्तु रामाय सलक्ष्मणाय देव्यै च तस्यै जनकात्मजायै नमोस्तु रुद्रेन्द्रयमानिलेभ्यो नमोस्तु चन्द्रार्कमरुद्गणेभ्यः। जय श्रीराम। आगतानां सर्वेषां स्वागतं सुस्वागतम् अस्यां सभायां। विद्वज्जनाः बहवः अत्र उपस्थिताः। भवतां समेषाम् अनुमत्या मया मम चिन्तनस्य काचित् प्रस्तुतिः अत्र मया उपस्थाप्यते। I shall switch over between English and Hindi for the convenience of the audience. So the topic that I have taken today is the Ramayana, a psychological model. By model here, I mean the process of biological factors, social factors, and emotional factors that affect mental health and behavior. By model, I mean pratirupanam, not pratikritihi. So the model that we have usually in our day-to-day vyavahara is the pratikriti one. Here I am talking about pratirupanam. I hope I am clear about this. So apologies for not making this a full PPT. It's a halfway PPT which I'll be showing you. The rest I'll talk to you. It'll be I hope I cover everything. I shall start with all your permission. So the Ramayana, as we all know, stands up as a profound text for culture and spiritual essence. But here, I'm going to take you in a journey of psychology. Various elements, aspects, and dimensions of psychology that are being dealt by different characters in the entire Ramayana. There are different theories in psychology. I have selected psychoanalysis as the first one, mindfulness as the second concept, and finally, I will touch Indian psychological elements. At first, I thought I will finish only with psychoanalysis, but I added more. So out of less time, I could not prepare the entire PPT. We kindly adjust with that. So the construct of personality. How is the personality constructed according to psychoanalysis? It is about id, ego, and superego. At the outset, ego, which we usually talk about in our day-to-day life, देखो ये attitude दिखाती है. She is showing off. इस सेंस में हम ego शब्द का प्रयोग करते हैं. But actually ego is not that. id, ego and superego are three levels of mind inside a personality which denotes different principles. id always refers to pleasure principle. आज आइसक्रीम खाई, मन नहीं भरता है, और चाहिए, और खाई, और चाहिए, और चाहिए, वो कभी खत्म नहीं होता है. So it is pleasure principle. Ego is in between, superego is at the end. So id is at the top, superego is at the last level, which means it works on morality principle. So it says, this is dharma, this is truth, this is how you should be, this is how you should not be. And ego in between tackles id and superego, if I have to be precise. What does this ego say? Ego says, if you copy in your exam, you will be punished. It will show you the reality and it will leave. It will not push you to take decisions in a very, vyavaharik way, to say that. So Sigmund Freud here talks about psychoanalysis, in which id, instincts, ego, the reality shower, and the superego, the morality shower, offers, it's a framework here. And I am going to talk about characters which shows id, ego and superego here. Rama as the moral, dutiful, respectful, obedient son, husband, or a character, as we see. Pitur vachana nirdeshad aham rajyam parityajya vanam gacchami. So as you can see, after every reference I have quoted the kanda from the chapter in which it is taken. So you can follow in that manner. On my father's order, I shall abandon the kingdom and proceed to the forest. We all understand it is there is a conflict between his personal desire and the way he has to project himself in front of the society and to follow the dharma in the first place. So he chooses to abandon the kingdom and he goes to his forest just to be aside with his father's words and to show himself to be a very dutiful king and to show himself or he as a follower of dharma. Ravana is the id. So we all are very much aware of the fact that Ravana is a demon and he is a brahmana and very learned person. He is very good in instruments. We all know he is a great veena player. But yet he is shown as epitome of id, desire and impulsive action taker. So mithya pradignyam dharmagnyam papam ramam vigarhase. You speak ill of Rama, who is righteous and a knower of dharma, while being sinful yourself. In Aranyakanda, Sita says this. Lakshmana is the ego, the mediator. So someone, I think madam has told yesterday. So Rama, as soon as the separation happens with Sita, he is impulsive. Out of the sadness that Sita is not there, I wish to see her now immediately as in the form she was before. This is how he speaks. That kind of sadness and shoka he demonstrates. But then at that time, Lakshmana, who is the inner strength of Rama, beside him he says, Tvamapi asya. Am I right? Yes. 1 second. So he says here, Tvamapi asya amshu shilayaha pativratyena Lakshmana. Ayodhya Kanda he says this, which means, oh Lakshmana, you too should follow the path of righteousness as Sita does with steadfastness. Which means Lakshmana tries to control him, tries to tell him, you please think with mindfulness, for which after some time he tries to tell this to Lakshmana there. There is Oedipus complex and, there's a concept called Oedipus complex here in Freud's theory, which represents the unconscious desire for the opposite gender. Parent and rivalry with the same gender parent can be mirrored in certain dynamics of Ramayana. Just as an example, I'll tell you. A girl of 12-year-old is more attached to her father than mother. The same gender is not getting attracted at that age, but to her father she will be more attracted in that age. That's very common, which we see in all our houses. So that is because of Oedipus complex is all. Freud tries to say this. Kaikeyi's manipulation of Dasharatha here. Mama priyartham ramasya vane vaso bhavishyati. She says, for my own happiness, Rama shall be sent to live in the forest. So she understands very well that it is because of her and her son that Rama is being sent to the forest. But she is unable to control. That Oedipus complex is very well visible in her character. Projection and displacement of Sita. 1 second. Sita's abduction. Yes. So Ravana's projection here is very well said. Satvam drishtva vararoham ratna sampanna varnini. So he says, having seen you, O lady of beautiful limbs and adorned with jewels, my desire has been ignited. So Ravana tries to project himself here that the objectification of Sita serves as a projection of inner desires here, which leads to his destructive actions. So unnecessary desire is being projected here. We are not supposed to desire about others' things or that which is not meant for us. That is very clearly, described here. Sublimation and Rama's quest. Dharmatva sattva sampanno Ramo Dasharathir yadi. So he says, Rama, the son of Dasharatha, full of virtues and righteousness, will certainly restore the order. So it is a sublimation towards Rama. So this highlights how Rama sublimates personal trauma in fulfilling his dharma, which he puts forth in front of him. In spite of all his desires, the shoka that is undergoing, and the separation from his wife, in spite of all these things, he tries to put forth only dharma before him. Archetypal and Jungian analysis. I'm sorry, that is one thing which is missing here. I'll tell you. So there's a very interesting factor here. We all know Western psychology has started in 19th century or 20th century. Now, in Western psychology, the most important thing is pratyaksha pramana. If there is no pratyaksha pramana, they don't agree anything. But Indian psychology, in contrast, is not about pratyaksha pramana alone. We have adrishta vishesha. We have dharma. We have shubha phalani. We have muhurta vichara. We have achara, adhiti bodha acharana prasara. We have so many things put together as Indian psychology, and these are Indian ethos, that we follow. We live in that. We dwell in that. So here, a psychoanalyst called Carl Gustav Jung visited Kashi in 1960s, and he admitted that Indians who believe in rebirth, reincarnations are true. The only Western psychologist who has accepted this is Carl Gustav Jung, and his concept of archetypes is also seen here. So his analysis of archetypes. What does archetype mean? The universal identities that we all have in terms of characters, in terms of behaviors, in terms of understanding people. This is archetypal behavior. So for example, I shall give you an example. We watch Bahubali, right? In a theater we watch it. So as the director takes the hero in a channel, we travel with the director. We travel as heroines. Many of you travel as heroes. Many of us feel anger towards the antagonist. So this journey is exactly the archetype that Jung talks about. So here, Ramam Dasharathim Veeram Mahabala Parakramam. So what they try to show is Rama is the hero here. Maybe it's because he follows dharma. Maybe he's the protagonist here. So he is supposed to be the supreme conscious power, the Paramatma himself. So he says, Rama, the heroic son of Dasharatha, is a man of great strength and valor. He is shown as the hero here. The archetype hero is shown here. Sita as the anima. So Carl Gustav Jung has presented different factors as archetypes. In that, one is hero. The other one is hero, anima. Sita as anima. She says, Patisnehan Mahabhaga Sita Dharma Prativrata. So she says, Sita's role as Rama's anima underscores the deeper psychological reunion of opposites. Anima and animus are two different concepts in Carl Gustav Jung's archetypes. Again, Ravana's defeat and shadow integration. So there is Chaya along with us, right? Shadow goes on with us. Now it's deep, it's dark. So shadow is always considered as a dark symbolism, if I have to say. So Ravana's symbolism as the shadow, what does it signify? By defeating Ravana, Rama not only conquers the external foe, but his own inner darkness is also conquered by making Ravana as shadow archetype. And then here he says, Chintayitva Mahatmanam Ramam Satyaparakramam. So Ravana contemplated the great Sri Rama of true valor and strength. Next one is dreams and visions in the Ramayana. Dream interpretation is one such thing in Western psychology which has a great role and place. The way you dream, who are there in your dream. We have a text in Advaita which talks about Swapna Vishleshana. There's a separate adhyaya for that. So these two can be in contrast with each other. So once again, wherever we go for in contrast, there's one thing which is underlying. Western psychology talks about pratyaksha pramana alone. But Indian psychological concept in contrast has not only pratyaksha pramana. So what happens here? Ravana's premonitions. Ratru swapne yadayatam tad idanim ghatate dhruvam. Yuddha Kanda, he says, what appeared in my dreams last night is now becoming a reality. So dreams serve as a symbolic warning of inevitable consequences of Ravana's unchecked desires, unwanted desires on Sita here. Now, I conclude here with, psychoanalysis way of projecting Ramayana and its characters. Now I get into Indian psychological elements in the Ramayana. I will not have a mindful effect on time. So kindly tell me if the time gets over, I will conclude it. Indian psychological elements in Ramayana. A short note on what is Indian psychology. Is there something called Indian psychology separately as we have Western psychology? So Indian psychology is a distinct psychological tradition rooted in the Indian ethos. So what it happens, it manifests multitude of practices prevailing in the Indian subcontinent for centuries. So unlike mainstream psychology that we have today, Indian psychology is not overwhelmingly materialistic in its nature, but it goes beyond conventional third person forms of observation alone. Observation here is pratyaksha pramana, nothing else. To include the study of first person phenomena alone. You do experiment, only then it is successful. This is all Western psychology speaks. And its various manifestations and associated cognitive phenomena. It's just not that. So, it does not include the investigation of extraordinary states of conscious and exceptional human abilities. Conscious and exceptional human abilities. Hanuman crossing an ocean? A deep-rooted scientific person will never believe it. He says he not even gives, himself a treat. He says, Jai Shri Man, and he says he got the power to climb and he swept over and he crossed the ocean all along. And after searching Sita at a point, he was so desperate and depressed, he talks about Namostu Ramaya Salakshmanaya. As soon as he says this padya, it seems he gets the route way to Ashokavatika. It's fantastic for that person who believes that this is Rama Rajya and they all existed here. Isn't it so? So, this is about a short note on Indian psychology, wherein Trigunas are important, Karmas are important, Dharma is important, if I have to be short. So, Dharma, righteousness and duty. Piturvarchana nirdeshat aham rajyam parityajya vanam gacchami. This is the exact statement Rama says. On my father's command, I shall abandon the kingdom and proceed to the forest. So this shows the dharma that he has in himself as a component of Indian psychology. Karma, law of cause and effect, as we say. Sa purvam karmanam loke hataputraha prapatshyate. Due to his past karma, he has lost his son. Who is he here? Dasharatha. He lost his son because of his previous karma. What was that previous karma? Shravana Kumara, that's all. Vairagya, the detachment. What is Vairagya here? Naham rajyam prayachami swam va jivatmanaha. I do not seek the kingdom or even life for myself. So this is Rama's detachment from power that we can see. Sattva-guna, the purity and harmony, Shuddha Sattva as we call. Rama consistently displays his purity, balance and calmness. So Ramo Gunasreshto Lokanayaka Sattamaha. He is the best of all, endowed with superior virtues and truth in his heart. Rajoguna, the passion and activity. Kamameva ashrutaha papo rakshasaha patitaha aham. I, the sinful demon, have fallen because of the clutch to desire alone. So the desire that I have got towards the unwanted things had made me fallen down. I have become patita, he says. Pativrata dharma, the wifely duty, as madam has said, bound by dharma and always devoted to her husband. She said, pati samyojita dharme patim nityam anuvrata, as he says. So he says, every day I am anuvrata. Sita says here. So there's also a concept of ahimsa, dvesha, Shraddha, Shoka, Kama, Moksha, Buddhi, Bhakti, Moha, Atman and Ananda as the components of Indian psychological elements. Now, I'll take 2 minutes to talk about mindfulness here. There are mindful decisions that were taken in entire Ramayana as we see. Why I have selected this mindfulness is because NEP 2020 necessarily talks about 3 things: creativity, integrity, and holistic approach for student-centered curriculum. But all these things put together in one word, if I have to say, it is mindfulness. We Indians have been mindful since ages. The Avadhana Kala that we project, Ashtavadhana, Shatavadhana, Sahasravadhana, is all about mindfulness. You don't have a paper, you don't have a computer, you don't have a hint, but you are able to answer with a distractor. There is a distractor, aprasuta prasanga. Still you are able to answer to the question. How is it even possible? Without any clue. It's because of the Indian way of living a mindful life. With a very proud tone I say this. So what are the mindful decisions that has happened? We all, for a matter of fact, should encourage our children to be mindful in nature. You know, we cook. Let's concentrate on cook and then let's cook. That is being mindful. Whatever we do it with Sarvatmana, we do it. That is called as being mindful. Now, Rama's acceptance of exile and equanimity. Now, he says Rama accepts his exile without anger. No compliment, no demonstration of impulsive act. Ayo, I'm going, I'm not getting any of the property. There was none. No such thing there. No, everything is full of acceptance. Sita's mindful devotion to Rama. Anuchara aham, Ramasya dharmapatni yashaswini. She says, I am a dharmapatni, I have to go with him. I have no work here in the Ayodhya, she says. And Lakshmana, nacha sukshma api swapne drishtapurvam mamasati. She says, even in dreams, I have never neglected my duty of vigilance, he says. And then Rama's control over anger. See, na aham krodavasham eshye yena me syad vikarmakrit. I will not be overwhelmed by anger, for it would make me act wrongly. He says it very clearly. See, we give lectures at home. He says it very clearly, stating, if I become angry, I will not be able to take decisions according to the situation. Hanuman's mindful search in Sita. See, Lanka manveshate buddhya sarvatra didrishe harihi. He says, his mindfully observation of Lanka's landscape, Ravana's palace during his search. First he contemplates a different woman to be Sita, and then he finds that it is Ravana's palace, and then he comes back again. So there are several incidents like this in Sundarakanda. Once again, Vibhishana's mindful approach, this I have to say. See, dharma samhita karma cha satatam satyavakcha saha. He always acts in accordance with dharma and speaks the truth. In spite of being amidst demons, Rakshasas, Vibhishana is one such person whom we can never forget in life. Such characters are to be introduced to the kids and youth of today's world. So these are some of the Rama's mindful compassion for enemies, Hanuman's mindful approach for diplomacy. So these are some of the things here. I have also talked about psychological problems and contemporary solutions that we can have from Ramayana. But unfortunately, I have no time. I'll just give one example and finish off. Low self-esteem. Self-esteem is an opinion that I have on my own self, about my attitude, about my behavior, about how I contemplate different things. This is self-esteem. So here, Sitam prapyati ramasya kritartah sada sada. Having achieved the mission of reaching Sita, he became fulfilled. Who is he here? Hanuman became fulfilled, because as someone said, Madam told, so he thinks, if I don't meet Sita, what will I tell to Rama? If Rama is having shoka, Lakshmana follows it. If Lakshmana is under shoka, then Bharata, what will I tell to the entire Kishkinda Samuha? Then what will Jambavantudu ask? How will I even face Sugriva? So there is a lineage of relationships which is mentioned in Sundarakanda. He thinks about so many people. How would I answer those people? At least for them, I have to seek Sita. And I will be, head straight in my mission and go on and find out Sita. This is how, his way of search for Sita Mata is there described here. Thank you for giving me this wonderful opportunity. It was great. I shall give the paper later on. So there are several instances here wherein I have quoted these things. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for the organizers and the college people who are here. Thank you to the IGNC who has given me this wonderful opportunity. There are beautiful people here, all intellectuals. Thank you so much. Jai Shri Ram.
धन्यवादाः महोदय. इदानीम् अहं श्रीमन्तं दत्तानायक महोदयं निवेदयामि स्वविचारान् प्रकटीकरोतु इति.
Jai Shri Ram. Scholars like Shrivastava has given us some information regarding the Kala Nirnaya of Ramayana. We have found that since the man started thinking in the Western models, based on Western models, there are questions whether what is the age of Vedas, Ramayana and Mahabharata. And we find that we don't have any answer, direct answer to all these questions. They say we Indians don't have sense of recording the timings, etc. I don't know how far it is true because I have not gone deep through it. But it looks that we have not properly recorded the timings according to the modern way of recording times. But anyhow, such scholars are now working over it. And I say I very much thankfully acknowledge your contribution today. And you carry on your research in this direction. Dr. Vaishnavi has projected Ramayana in both the psychologies. You know, modern psychology has been based on behavioral science. Earlier, even psychology was supposed to be something like science of soul, science of mind, etc. Since Watson, it has been believed to be, it has been accepted as a science of behavior, not only of behavior, human behavior, but also of human and animal behavior. Even animal behavior was recorded. Sigmund Freud, who went on further, there are many other psychologists, but Sigmund Freud's psychology has made more impact on psychological research of modern era. There are complexes like Oedipus complex, Electra complex, etc., etc. Ego and superego. Dr. Vaishnavi has rightly tried to analyze Ramayana in this perspective. In the same manner, she has also explained the Ramayana in the modern sense of term, Indian sense of term. Indian psychology is based on the Adhyatma, that is spiritualism. I don't know whether spiritualism is a correct word for Adhyatma. But normally we try to use some words corresponding to some Sanskrit words. In this way, we say spiritual. So it is based on spiritualism, and therefore we cannot simply find out the answers to all these questions from the Western way of thinking. But of course, we cannot ignore it. In modern times, we cannot ignore it. When we say Ayurveda is the best system of medicine, we cannot ignore allopathy, its contribution in the field of medicine and surgery. It need not be a matter of ego. Something that is mine is always superior, need not be there. So in the same manner, we cannot ignore modern psychology or modern psychological thinking while trying to analyze our characters, our personalities in Ramayana and Mahabharata. Everybody is free to interpret according to our own culture itself. Now looking at Ramayana as an epic having an impact, it's a part of history everyone accepts. But as an epic, it has been written, is himself, Valmiki has been referred to as Mahakavi. So when it is a kavya, a kavi is supposed to write something more than what has been happening, what has been going on. So in that manner, in that way, there will be some exaggeration, atishayokti, etc., etc. But looking at the story of Ramayana, we find that at that time, the social structure of the society was far superior to what we have today. Many a times, the ancient Indian life system or ancient Indian system of the society has been criticized looking at the problems which we are facing in today's world. We don't find temples in Ramayana. I have never seen Dasharatha visiting a temple with all his wives and children, the way we visit with one wife, of course. But we have never seen this in Ramayana, we have never observed it. So rishis and munis were occupying a very important position during this era. They were as if the temples. They were not the gods, but for all human beings, they were like human gods. Because they could guide them properly, actually, correct to the situation, needed as per the situation. Parshurama, Vishwamitra took Rama and Lakshmana with him in order to protect his yajna Sanskriti. So at that time, our Sanskriti, our culture was yajna Sanskriti. So in order to protect his yajna Sanskriti, he advised him to kill even a woman, devilish woman, Tratka, because she was a man-eater. Of course, she was converted into man-eater because of her behavior, curse she got from the rishis. They were given the knowledge of strength of Bala and Atibala during their stay with him, Vishwamitra's stay. The important thing is, after getting married with Sita, or all brothers getting married with Janaka's daughters, of course Janaka was intelligent enough. He knew the family which was suitable or equal to him. Even today we find, when we have, of course nowadays the children are very few. In joint families, 2-3 sisters means cousins or other, and they used to get married with some other family which is equivalent to them. All 3 of them would get married to suitable bridegrooms in that family. I have got my Atyas who were married to another family. I find that all of them are my cousins, because all 3 or 4 of them were married in the same family. So this is what Janaka did according to his time. Nowadays we don't find it because there are no joint families. But even today this trend continues, finding suitable grooms in the suitable families. Then on the way, he meets Parshurama. Now this is a very important or pivotal point in the life of our history. Parshurama's defeat was the defeat of the outdated ideas of our country at that time. Parshurama represented the rigid system, and Sri Rama represented the modern system of his time. Am I right? In my conclusion, you may not agree with my conclusion, but he defeated Parshurama, that's correct. You may not agree with my conclusions. I don't expect everyone to agree with what I say. I want to confirm whether the facts I have quoted are true to the history or to Ramayana. This is a pivotal position. Similar situation we find in Bhagavad, where Indra was stopped by, the Indra's reigning was stopped by Govardhan Giridhari. Similar thing, rigidity was defeated by the modern system of their time. So these are the important aspects we learn from what was going on during that time. When Sri Rama was asked to leave the throne by Kaikeyi at the advice of Manthara, Sri Rama went to see her and told her that, see, you want to, whatever, you say, tell me whatever you want to say. Ramo dvirna bibhashate. Ram does not speak twice. You tell me whatever you have in your mind, I will act according to it. When Sita was trying to follow him, Kaikeyi wanted to, it was not decided actually whether Sita was supposed to follow Sri Ram. Kaikeyi says you have to wear the dress of a Vanavasi now. At that time, Vasishtha Rishi interferes and says, no, the administration in the absence of Rama will be looked after by Sita. That shows that woman could be a ruler. Maybe, though it was not realized, maybe the first proposal of the world where woman could be a ruler. I don't know. Even you can tell me if there were earlier examples. But as per my knowledge, I think this would have been the first example. When they all, of course, all these rules, though Sita followed him, Lakshmana also followed him, all the rules of Vanavasi were not applicable to them. That's why Sita could take her ornaments with her. Sri Rama has not taken anything, any royal symbol with him, except the wedding ring. So, after they left the capital, see now, the importance of the rishis. There is a brief visit to Valmiki's ashrama. Only one city is mentioned. Then all three of them went towards the Chitrakuta in Atri Rishi's ashrama. And they were very happy there. I think Atri Rishi has taken note of this. These young boys and girls will enjoy here and nothing would be done by them. So he asked them to go. Asked them to leave the Chitrakuta Parvat. When they went towards south, there are Rakshasas killed by them. But two Rakshasas are very important. One is Viradha and Kavandha. Viradha Rakshas, when was killed, he advises them to go to Sutikshna Muni, if I am not wrong, depending upon my memory. Correct, no? Sutikshna and another Muni, they try to visit them and they later on advise them to go to Sharabhanga, Sutikshna and Sharabhanga. Alternatively, Sutikshna and Sharabhanga. Then they advise them, one of them advised them to go to Agasti. This is another important step in their life. Yes. Agasti gave them Tuni, Bhatas, Akshay Bhata, Akshay Tuni. The Surya Chapa, the arrows given by Indra. Now, Agasti Rishi is strengthening them, making them superhuman beings, where they could not be defeated by anybody. And he asked them to go to Panchavati. Now there will be no Rishi to protect you. Later on, Agasti appears in the battlefield. Rama Rama Mahabaho Shrunuguya Sanatanam. In between that, no Rishi has interfered. Now it is left to you. You are all human beings. Maybe I have made you superhuman beings because he is Ajanubahu. Sri Ram has been projected as Ajanubahu. And only another someone is to help them is Pakshi, Jatayu. So Jatayu was their guard. What is the importance of Jatayu in Ramayana? Knowing that he will be killed by Ravana, he is facing them. He is not trying to run away and tell somebody that Ravana has come to abduct your wife. Tell Rama, no. He stops him. So this is another important personality in Ramayana, that he sacrifices himself, knowing that Ravana is a Mahabali. It's very difficult. It was very difficult because he was given the boons by Brahmadeva himself. Ravana was not a simple person, maybe Rakshasa or anybody, not a simple person. It is not so easy to get boons from the super god Brahmadeva. So automatically he was powered. Of course, he forgot to mention human being and all that sort. But anyhow, he was Mahabali. So it was so easy to defeat Ramayana. Knowing that he would be killed, he tried to stop him. So later on we find Kabandha Rakshas, who guided them about Sita's abduction by Ravana. These are the two devils we find who were responsible for helping them. Later on we find their meeting with, I'm not trying to explain anything about abduction of Sita and Kanchana Mrug, etc. because everyone knows it. Vaishampayan in the Mahabharata says that knowing that there cannot be a creature like this, asambhave hemamayasya jantoho amo lulubhe mrigaya. Yes, you can correct me also. So this is how we find it. Of course, everyone knows about it, and we are not trying to again get into it. Rama's melancholy over being separated from Sita, all these things. So we find later on he meets Sugriva, and Sugriva is very important person in his life. Sri Ram has said that it is very difficult to get a friend like Sugriva. Swarnam va, Rajatam va, etc., etc. Maybe a friend is having gold, other ornaments, wealth, maybe of not good character even. Friend is after all a friend. So how should we try to maintain the friendship of a person even if he is of any type and anywhere? In case of social life, we find that there was equality among all the citizens of the country. Sometimes the Chaturvarna is criticized looking at the caste system today. It was a division of labor based on duties. If all of them perform duties, automatically there will be a development. How can a factory work? A factory works when from manager to the attendant performs his duty. That is Chaturvarna. If any one of them sabotages the industry will collapse. So in the same manner, the entire society was industrious. Industry does not mean machinery. Nowadays we talk of industrial revolution and all. But we had everyone who was industrious, everyone was working. Nobody is coming to stop me? Okay. Everybody was performing his own duty. And that was the reason why there was a development. Rishta Pushta Jana Kirana. Everyone was happy, everyone was putting chandana on his head and all. So this is how during Rama's reign, it was no child could die before their parents. Vinoba Bhave has made a very good comment. The real Ramarajya, actually real Ramarajya existed during the 14 years of Rama's abandonment, exile. Because there was no Rama and there was Ramaraj. And that's why it has to be ideal. Because you can't expect Rama to live even today. But we expect Ramaraj to come. So how do we expect Ramaraj to come? In the same manner, the way Bharat has offered to us. The social system very much explained in the Ramayana is, it is said that when a king takes 1/6 of the product as a tax, the king has to give service to the society. Bharata says, if somebody is not paying his bhritya or his servant enough for his duties he is performing, for the work he is doing, he is not a very good manager. Now all such discussions, now we try to say there was equality and all such discussions are going on in this world because of the industrialization of the West. Because there started exploitation in West, we started thinking of the welfare society. The welfare society exactly or existed in our ancient, especially in Ramayana, I would like to say, the society was welfare state in the modern terms. The idea of welfare state came into discussion after the industrialization in Europe, where the poor were exploited. Poor class of Europe, I mean white people, were first exploited. Later on, they found that there was unrest. They started bringing children from the black community, Africans. This is how exploitation started in West. And then there was a reaction for welfare state. This welfare state existed in Ramayana because everyone was paid according to their own caliber, according to completion of their duties. And therefore, this is called a Ramarajya, where everyone works according to his capacity. The society was need-based and not was based on and was not grid-based. Need-based and grid-based. Today's society is grid-based. Personally, we all, I myself, do not know what will happen after my death. So I try to amass more wealth, more than my capacity for my children. This type of fear did not exist during this time, because society is kind enough and was kind enough and strong enough to look after the welfare of anybody, any of his children after his death. So this is how we find present day society is grid based, and that's why we try to earn more and more wealth according to modern system. And that's why we find that Ramayana inspires Sri Rama. It inspires the modern society. Sri Rama was a trendsetter. In our history, we find there are discussions on Pativratas. Sri Rama was the first person who was a Patnivrati. In all the kings, even one generation before, why to go back to Ramayana or Mahabharata? Even one generation before, kings used to have a harem, have more than one wife. But Sri Ram during that time set a trend that one should have single wife, Patni Vrata. You cannot separate Sita from me. That's how he said. And that was another way of setting a trend. And today we find that trend of Sri Rama has been accepted by the society. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, madam. We are opening up for question and answer session. So if you all have any question for the speakers of the first session today as well as this session, we are open for discussion.
अभी साइकोलॉजिकल कैरेक्टर की और फिर कुछ फिजियोलॉजिकल आजानुभाव की बात आपने की. 1-2 मिनट की बात मैं कहना चाहता हूँ, वो बहुत मुझे आवश्यक इसलिए लगी कि आजानुबाहु या आजानुभुज जो राम को कहा वो एक सामुद्रिक लक्षण नहीं है. और ये पूरा फिजियोलॉजी और साइंटिफिक किस तरह है, जो विज्ञान के जो अध्येता हैं, आजानुबाहु राम बार बार कहा गया, दीर्घबाहु राम इसीलिए विश्व के सर्वश्रेष्ठ धनुर्धर हैं. उस समय के सबसे लंबी बाहु वाले राम हैं और धनुष को चलाने के लिए धनुष का आर्च, जितनी लंबी बाहु होंगी उतना ही आप बड़ा धनुष धारण कर सकेंगे, उसकी प्रत्यंचा भी उतनी बड़ी होगी. और जो न्यूटन का फोर्स का नियम है, जितना अधिक वृत्त आप खींच सकेंगे उतनी ही दूरी तक तीर जा सकेगा. सामने वाले शत्रु जिसकी बाह छोटी है वो 100 मीटर अगर तीर फेंकेगा तो जो जितने लंबे बाहु वाला है वो 500 मीटर पे तीर फेंक के और उसको पहले ही मार देगा. इसलिए आजानुबाहु होने का कारण एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण लक्षण है. मैं ये इसलिए कह रहा हूँ कि मेरा थोड़ा शोधपूर्ण लेख था और पांचजन्य में बहुत ही ये सम्मानित रूप से छपा. आप अगर गूगल पे भी डालेंगे आजानुबाहु श्री राम लिखेंगे तो सारा लेख आ जाएगा. तो आजानुबाहु या आजानुभुज जो राम का कैरेक्टर है वो एक विशेष उनकी युद्ध कौशल का लक्षण है और उससे उनकी जो है मारक क्षमता पूरी, इसीलिए वे विश्व के सर्वश्रेष्ठ धनुर्धर हैं. ये मैं एक निवेदन करना चाह रहा था.
Okay. So I invite Riya to kindly propose the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all our esteemed speakers for this session. A special thank you to Datta Naik sir, Executive Council member of Goa University, for honoring us with your valuable time and presence. Heartfelt thanks to Dr. S. Vaishnavi. She's Assistant Professor at National Sanskrit University, Tirupati. Thank you for enlightening us. And to Shubham Kumar, a scholar and competitive exam coach, thank you for your valuable insights. Thank you.